Hey, welcome back to another episode of the RCTPOD. In this week's episode, we talk to our first official guest, Harshit Manocha, about the Indian society's curious obsession with the engineering profession. Harshit is an artist and a storyteller based out of Delhi who completed his graduation from one of the top engineering institutes of India. We also talk about his journey of leaving a fancy job only to follow his passion of telling stories through the medium of art. And in the final segment, we share our super amazing recommendations for you. So, don't go anywhere. My name is Smarth, and you're listening to Raining Chats and Talks. Before we go ahead, we would like to thank all our listeners who reached out to us with their feedback and support. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can connect with us on Instagram at RCTPOD or on our email ID, which is rainingchatsandtalks@gmail.com. We will leave the links to the same in the episode description, so do check it out. And with that, let's get back to the episode. Hey Harshit!
Hello, what's up?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for joining in for this episode. And you are officially the first guest on the podcast. कैसा लग रहा है?
What? I did not know this. Like, to be honest, I saw your podcast thoda, and I saw that abhi tak it was all about like summer talks about, but I thought maybe if I listen more, I'll get to
No,
the
you are the
guests.
first official guest, and we are doing our trials with you. Like, इससे पहले कि हम celebrities बुलाएं थोड़े और.
Okay.
So we're just doing trials with you.
ठीक.
No. Jokes apart. Like, I'm really excited to have you on the show. And so today we are discussing about India's obsession with engineering and particularly from IITs. And now that you have a degree from an IIT, do you think it's worth the obsession?
Like one of the reasons why I was excited for the podcast was when you told me what the idea you have in mind, like, and I think it's something that deserves a conversation, and it deserves an honest conversation to be.
But do you think that the whole obsession and the hype which is there in India, it's worth it?
Wait, I'm saying I'm saying the answer is more than it's worth the hype versus it's not worth the hype, and I think like that is what I could talk about a little. Like what I feel is that like what I have understood is that over time it's one of the most logical conclusions that parents could draw. Like I have seen how my parents were obsessed by the idea. I think my parents and like people from middle class families, like unka entire idea comes from a very survival point of view. So they go out for the opportunity jisme the guarantee of some security is the maximum, and which was there in this field for a lot of time, and that has been like that's been proved by a lot of examples, and I think that's why they tend to stick to that notion, but they did not realize that the market has changed so much, the opportunity space has changed so much. So I think that's the reason of the hype, and like today I don't think the hype is worth it. Like today I think there is so much more opportunity, and I have so many examples in my knowledge which prove the same. So yeah, I don't think
Exactly.
it's worth it anymore.
Actually, even I was reading this on the internet, and I came across this article where it was very well articulated that in the 1970s the economy was stagnated in the country, and there were very few jobs. So India's focus was on building state-owned factories, and engineering was one of the professions that guaranteed a job and like a proper secure future.
Correct.
So those days, I mean, it made sense to pursue an engineering and get into a job which gives you proper financial security. But after the economic liberalization and everything, we had a lot of new opportunities. So we had jobs in media sectors, in service sector, consultancy, sales managers, and for all of those careers, you don't really need an engineering degree.
Correct.
So probably our parents or the older generations, I feel, is still stuck in that 1970s era where they still feel that engineering is the profession that's going to give you like a secure future. And do you think, like, on that note, I have like the next question for you is that was any of this, like, this reason made your parents have a lot of expectations from you? Even like how parents have these silent expectations कि मेरा बेटा या मेरी बेटी engineering करेगा and they'll have
Correct.
a proper secure job and everything. Do you think your parents also had a similar ideology?
So I think it wasn't ऐसे एकदम out front out there, but so my parents are both teachers, and we like our family is from a very academic background, and all my life I've been this, I have to come first, second, or third in the class, and like preferably first. So it's been there, it's been silent, and generally I also enjoy doing things like I enjoyed studying enough ki that used to happen, and I used to work hard enough कि हाँ मतलब things used to make sense for me. So it wasn't like an upfront you have to do this, but I think like when I was considering what I want to do, I think there was a lack of awareness in the system. Like the only profession they were aware about was engineering. The only thing they knew about was IITs, and I think it's a very it's a skewed feedback that the media creates. Like they have seen the kind of news. Like the only thing that they used to see at that time was, Acha, okay, this person from this IIT got a job in Google, got itne ka package and all of that. So from them, like for them, like the only news that they welcomed was, acha, that academics and IITs and engineering leads to a good future, and hence the bias was always there. And for me, like I was very attracted towards architecture and interior design at that time, and
Hmm.
I thought of considering giving NATA, but I was like, at that time even I did not have enough exposure. Whatever little I knew about architecture looked like a very bleak chance, like architecture firms and like whatever little I could gather. Tabhi, like I think one of the things that I really vouch for today is educating the audience, educating the parents about the different opportunity scope that is there, educating about how different work streams can happen and all of that. Because I think it was all seeded there.
So at that point of time, so probably somewhere you took the decision during your, 10th or 12th, somewhere in those years, right?
Yeah.
So was engineering your first preference out of genuine interest, or was it just because, the majority of them were doing it? So you also felt like probably you should just, go for something like this, which is a little bit a safer option.
Correct. So, to be honest, matlab, as I just mentioned, that I was really attracted towards architecture and interior design, but I wasn't very confident of being able to pursue it or if I have the aptitude for it, because it was a calling, like it was a feeling from inside. And in fact, now that I have quit my job and everything, and I'm working, a lot of my work lies in that regime. It's just उस time I did not have the confidence or the exposure or the network to understand that entire work sector. Whatever limited I knew was like word of mouth for people saying that okay, architecture means more of like a family business, like people with background in architecture are able to launch their own children and all those kind of things. So it just looked like a very bleak chance to enter that market. And then like all these institutions, like if you like, the only career counseling I could get was people from these coaching institutes who were like, once you go to IIT, you can do anything, and then they give you all these examples. And I got sold.
Exactly. I mean, there's a whole business out there because of these IITs and the engineering profession, which is about the coaching classes.
Correct.
And like Kota is called like a factory for these students.
Yeah.
I think the maximum number of IIT admissions are from Kota, if I'm not wrong.
I don't know.
And
I don't look at
yeah,
those
I mean,
statistics.
yeah, there were some surveys that were done, and probably like Kota had the maximum number of admissions going into IITs. And ये coaching classes से ना एक बहुत ज़्यादा I think वो बन चुका है कि since everybody is doing it and the coaching classes also want to increase their business, so all
Mm.
they give you is an advice of you should do an engineering, you should go to an IIT. And
Correct,
like
correct.
I have a very interesting fact here, so I was just researching about it. So as per the data by NTA, which is the National Testing Agency, a total of 11 lakhs 18,000 and 673 candidates registered for the JEE main exam in 2020. Okay. Now, there are a total of 23 IITs in the country that offer 11,289 seats overall. So technically, only 1% of the total students will get admission in an IIT.
And that was, and there's this whole like whole conversation about which IIT and which stream in which IIT. Like after a particular rank, nobody even encourages you to go into one. And even I would not, like, why would you rather go in a stream that does not call you out just for the sake of getting the IIT label versus pursuing a stream in any other college?
Exactly. This whole मतलब एक brand image जैसा हो जाता है ना, like this is with the IMs also. Like I want to go to an IM, and because they have made like new IMs also now, जैसे एक IM अमृतसर है, IM उदयपुर है. So people are considering that also just because of the tag of the IIM, कि उनके
Correct,
resume पे IIM लिखा होगा.
correct. Like
And
I
I think
think I think having studied from like an IIT, I know the kind of value that they're endorsing, but it's not the core value. Matlab, one of the best things that I think the the brand has helped me is like the IIT tag has helped me is like getting the right network. And I think network is about the right people doing the right things anywhere. Like उसमें college का उतना कुछ नाम नहीं है.
Right now, a lot of my friends who graduated from IITs, they don't have a very good job, to be very honest. They are working in very, like very shaky startups. And I landed up, a job with a good company, a very big company, and I was in a very, good, stable job.
Correct.
So I think I would have landed in the same way even if I was in an IIT, and I
Or
think
maybe not.
everything would
Like,
have turned out.
I'm not saying that the environment is so conducive of like success. Like it can do anything to you. Like because it's a highly competitive landscape also. Like I remember the first day, the first like I think this is something which I want to highlight particularly is that the whole stupid thing that is told, no, like once you get into IIT, your life is set. It's the biggest lie I've ever seen. Because on the day one of our induction, I remember we were in a convocation hall. We were 3,000 students, and the director asked one question: which one of you has been the first in their class, their coaching, or their institute? And the entire freaking room like raised their hands. And that is the kind of competitive landscape you enter.
They must have gotten the newspaper clippings also, वो जो आती थी ना coaching class and the toppers का वो
Correct.
for
And I'm
first
saying like
page
I
पे.
could see like my batchmates, unka like banner on a bus going around in the city, dude. That's the kind of like that is what is happening around
It's
Bombay. Like
called
I could
early
see
stardom. Early
Carpet
stardom.
on a best bus, okay, join pace and all of that. And what I really mean to say is that let's say that you got a rank that was able to get you a seat in an IIT or like any college for that matter. उधर
Hmm.
जाके like if it is really not your calling, things can get really toxic. Like it's a competitive environment. There is a lot of pressure to cope up, and like people have expectation. Like if you like, there are few numbers that I want people to think about. Think of the percentage of people who actually land into technical professions after an engineering college. It's a shaky number. Okay, now again one more number I want to think about. Like in our college, in the first year, like in the first semester, the number of people who had like seven, like a grade point around seven was extremely high, like 7 6, and that is an average. Like so which means there were enough people uske niche also. Because just getting into that place is not everything. There is a lot of coping up pressure that goes, and it has done. We all know the kind of newses that come out. So it's not the best environment also.
Right. So, Harshit, coming back to the point of coaching classes and the coaching, now classes are starting as early as in the sixth standard.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
parents are enrolling their kids in the sixth standard, for teaching physics, chemistry, and mathematics, and making them full prepared for the IIT entrance exam when they graduate their 12th. Do you think that really makes sense? Do you think there should be so
Absolutely,
much pressure on a kid?
absolutely not. It is the most criminal thing to put your child into a place like that, especially because I know for a matter of fact what is done inside. And so my parents are tuition teachers, and like I know how the tuition industry works. Parents may not have time, and I know it's a environment where both parents are working, so parents often do not have time for just coping up with homeworks and getting the regular padhai ka time out. So that I understand. But like in a coaching institute, the amount of pressure there is on getting problems right, on solving problems, like you change the calibration for the child. Like for them, solving the question is what matters. They have
Exactly.
absolutely removed any focus from understanding the concept. Like I know children who can solve any problem but do not know shit about area and perimeter, which is like a foundation. Like it's a foundation subject. Like it's a foundation chapter for like your rest of your life. Yeah? Like it's so spatial. It's like a design thinking ka topic. Like area and perimeter. It's so physical, so basic in nature, and
Exactly.
children have that screwed. Like children have area perimeter screwed. I know a child who can solve all problems of speed, but does not understand the concept of distance upon time and how that means speed. Like, why does that mean speed, or why does
Also,
that?
Harshit, do you know why matlab, according to me, why this is a very criminal thing to do if you're putting a child, for this entrance exam preparations as early as fifth, sixth standard? Because that is the time when you are growing up and you develop a lot of interests that will probably, help you in your life.
It
Like,
is the child's time to explore. It is the child's time to play. It is the child's time to look at the universe and see kya what calls out to them. You set out them on the wrong path so early. Matlab, it's
yeah,
extremely
you're not giving that freedom to the child कि वो खुद decide कर सके कि उसको अपना future किस चीज में बनाना है.
bad. Like I remember, I think it was in 2018 when I had started writing blogs, and I have a blog which is unpublished, which essentially talks about this. I never got to complete it because I was so overwhelmed with the amount of information that I found out, like, while researching for that blog. Like, if you see, like, if you Google prodigies in India, and if you Google prodigies around the globe, you'll see India has a system of, like, that it's a feedback loop of people who do brilliant at maths, people who do brilliant at science and inventions and in IQ, and like there are scholarships for them, there are things for them, and all of that, all of that, all of that. So they circle out to become like a, it like a big deal. And like, if you just check out the kind of culture that is there outside, like there are child prodigy artists and there are child prodigy musicians and whatnot. And I'm not publicizing or like brand like marketing the idea of prodigies. I'm just saying, like, there is a feedback loop of supporting a child who's only good at education. Everything else, like, I have an insane amount of problem of how everything else is just called extracurricular. Art is curriculum. Art should not be extracurricular. Physical education is curriculum for a child. It's not extracurricular activity. It's bloody bread and butter for them. It's very important. And the other day, I was thinking about, like, so I thought, like, I have been moved by this entire idea of how, as children, we've lost so much of expression because we went on chasing, like, we never went out for the extracurricular. Because, like, so I went and checked CBSE's website and what it recommends for art. And
Hmm.
as much as CBC has tried to make it like a very open-ended and a healthy narrative, like they've said, at least itna hona chahiye hai. This is the kind of things you should do. I've seen like good schools actually just exploiting the loopholes in the definition. If the curriculum says at least 2 periods of art in a week, they have done
Hmm.
exactly 2 periods of art in the week. Like, that is all.
We don't have enough degrees for them. We don't have enough colleges, institutions for them. So how
Or
are we
enough
going to
respect
gather that
also,
skill?
like, even respect. Like, I know, like, having pursued a profession which is not like abhi to fir bhi, I know I'm not alone. I know I have so many examples to quote, but I know, like, the kind of profession that I've been in now, like, it's just so difficult for people to explain. Like, people, like, and I know that I am doing so much better than so many people, like, simply like from an earning point of view also, like, than so many people who went out and did jobs, because I pursued what I like and I know it can work. But like, there is such a bad reputation. Like, my parents feel uncomfortable explaining people catch what does your child really do, because they don't have an easy answer. Like, he works with this company. Like, it's a weird culture of not respecting people who do their own thing. Like, it's like, और कुछ नहीं मिला तो ये कर रहे होंगे.
Right. So, Arshit, while we're talking about these jobs, I mean, I have a very interesting fact here that, so studies indicate that less than 6% of the mechanical engineers end up doing anything with mechanical engineering. If you see, most of the people who are pursuing engineering are graduating with engineers degrees. They're mostly going to non-engineering jobs. They either going into sales, they are either going into marketing, or they're going into analytics. Probably nothing has to do with engineering, and probably they could have done well with any other degree also.
मतलब ठीक है, I will give my point of view on this. So first of all, I'm saying a college is still a beautiful place for exploration, and like the kind of world exposure that happens for you when you go to a college is insane. So I'm saying, I will not say कि अच्छा, if there is a change, so 100% education, like 100% engineering batch will go for 100% engineering profession. I will not say that, because I think college is for experimentation, and given the kind of upbringing we have, that is really the time when people try out their own self. So वो होगा,
Right.
that will definitely happen. I think, in fact, these are the people who actually took the courage to break that pattern. Ki, Acha, if I am here and if this is not calling out to me, what do I do? So I'm actually very happy that this still happens. Like people still find another calling and work for it. I think what needs to be done or talked about is like, I think Hamara the entire work ka logic now it starts very late in life. Like the whole idea, we are disconnected from money making, we are disconnected from passion, we are disconnected from experiment for like good 20 years of our life. Like the first time we
Right.
understand all of this is perhaps internship ke dauran. And I know like I've seen documentary, I've done the reading to understand that there is a lot of just a lemonade shop ka culture, or just like children putting up pop-up stalls in a random flea market just trying to sell their craft or something. I'm saying there is this whole understanding that needs to be built कि by the time you choose a college there is some amount of learning that you need to have कि अच्छा where do I need to go. Like हम लोग पहले 20 साल तो बस पढ़ा रहे होते हैं. Like there is absolutely no respect for calling, like personal calling का. So I think that is the
Right.
reason this happens. It's not all to blame for engineering.
So Harshit, when you graduated from IIT Bombay,
Mhm.
you took a job with a very big company as a marketer, right?
I
And
joined them for supply chain, then I worked and sort of convinced people that I should be given a job in marketing, and then I got the job in marketing. Hmm.
so, what was your reason behind like choosing sort of a non-engineering job?
Hmm. So I remember that in my first year, whatever courses were offered to me, and I think this is one story that nobody knows really. So I was in my first year of college. I was doing really well with my academics. I was a 9+ grade point, and I remember I got a CGPA of 9.13, and in my first year, and then that is when we were offered a branch change, and I filled a branch change form. I think I really wanted to pursue electrical engineering. I was really excited about semiconductors. I was excited about them when I was studying them in 12th. I was really excited with the introductory courses that we got. So I applied for that, and I made that decision that if I stay in chemical engineering, which I eventually did, I will become a non-core person because chemical engineering did not call out to me. And if I go into electrical engineering, I thought, like, I don't know, we never know what would have happened, but I thought that then is when I will become like a full on technical person, because I was always excited about it. Like I've worked thoda on semiconductors, I've studied enough, I was like reading up so much even during 12th when nobody recommends कि अच्छा do इधर उधर का reading. ठीक है. But then I missed by a single 0.01. Like the cutoff for the branch change was 9.14, and I missed it. And that was when I just decided कि no, I don't want to become a chemical engineer, so to say. I just kept doing well with my academics because I really like studying. And if I like studying, I work on it, I practice some problem. Marks was just an end product. I wasn't really after the marks, to be honest. And then having good understanding of the subject, and then the company that hired me was also looking for somebody who's malab, is what I understood by the hiring pattern, that it was more than just engineering. I think it was a lot of other exposures that I had, and I think it was the other skills that also mattered for my hiring. So yeah, like that's how I ended up in a job which was thoda engineering based, but not too much. It was more about like some like, and I think this is something which I really want to focus on. Like now it brings me to the point that even when you were going out from an engineering college, there is so much more that will matter than your engineering, and focusing on those experiences is what is important. Like I know I have been in a room full of very intelligent or very qualified people, and yet been picked for something because the kind of education that we do, it is very theoretical. It is very
Right.
theoretical. The industry is so different, like the work that happens out there is so different, that like if you do not have these other skills that are so important, adaptability, working with a team, and just like the idea of failing, like how comfortable you are with these other softer aspects, the engineering doesn't come in so handy really, matlab. Because the like apna education, like I remember at my college, the prestigious college that we want to talk about, like there
Yeah.
was an experiment which is so outdated that like and like like the answer to that experiment used to be told that if your error percentage comes out to be 4000%, that means you've performed the experiment correct, because ye 4 saal se 4000% का error देता है. How is that engineering? How is that understanding science? Like, we don't even know what the experiment really looks like. We know that the answer is off by 4000%. That's how they said that we have done the experiment well.
So Harshit, you had a very inspiring journey, to be honest. Like you did your engineering for such a good institute in India. Then you landed up such an amazing job, cool job, and then you finally gave up everything to pursue your passion for for becoming a full time artist and a storyteller. So I'm sure you had, yeah, like you faced a lot of challenges during that journey, right? So what were they like?
I think I'll give like a narrative on the entire journey and tell the challenges. So I think first of all, for me, like when I realized ki the only thing that would make sense at that time was engineering, because I knew I wasn't sure about my architecture and other things calling, and I knew that I was decent with education and I had got a decent rank. So I was like, I will fill everything that it needs to go to Bombay. So I literally filled like the entire selection list from computer science IIT Bombay to the last course that the institute offers, like a 5 year BSc or like whatever was offered in that college, just so that I'm able to go to Bombay. I think that's where I began my journey. Then, like as I told, like for me, I did not felt challenged, to be honest. I think like I was like I don't want to be like some modest. Yeah, I don't know if it is modest or like extremely as a I don't know what I don't want to be confused as, but I'm saying ki it did not feel very challenging. I think because I sort of felt what was happening. Like I think I was reflecting enough on my next steps. Things started to make sense, and then I went with that gut feeling. Like I remember I was experimenting a lot of things in my first year. I did lights for a play. I took in a like dance participation. I did UI UX design, which I now absolutely hate. I did a lot of painting, a lot of random stuff. I started coding, which lasted for 3 hours, all like total. And I think simply by experimenting so much, talking to so many people, and saying yes to a couple of experiences, I was able to figure out the kind of things that worked for me, and then I started pursuing them. I I I think I did not care about, like I think I lost track of the fact that I have to get a job. To be very honest, like I did not care about it. Very honestly, I did not care about it till like good 2 years of my college life. I think
Like
third year we
making money wasn't the most important thing in
no,
your
I
life.
knew I can make money otherwise also. So even all this while I was making money, I was like, I was selling my art, I was doing paid projects, I was doing like I think one of the nice thing that comes with the college was like we had a entrepreneurship cell. So we had a lot of college funded startups, we had a lot of alumni startups who were
Right.
hiring. Bombay is a very creative space. Like I know first year I got paid 2500 for a photo shoot that I did for a random company ka office. They had just
Hmm.
redone their entire interiors and they wanted somebody very cheap to shoot it. And I'm like, college student ke liye 2500 is not very cheap. So I'll do it. I went and I did it. So I knew I was making money and I was also learning so much. Like today I have a portfolio which is so funnily broad. Like I can't even find the two ends of it. Like it's that broad because I just said yes to a lot of projects. And I learned, like I think like this, I think one thing I always promote is that a college is like a testing pad. Like you can launch test so many things. Like I know the kind of I have almost become part of two startups and realized ki, fuck, I can't work in a startup at the moment. I want to be a free bird. I think I've proved that to myself so many times. I got into UI UX projects, actually got like shouted upon ki, what the fuck is your professional behavior. And I think all of these things came in handy now when I know ki, acha, like I know, like even when entering that project I knew that I do not like UI UX. I think I just that was my last project on UI UX that gave me a very
Hmm.
big answer ki, no, you don't want to do this. So I think I did not take challenges. I think I did not face challenges. I was just reading, I was doing things, I was reading what was happening with me.
So Harshit, earlier in the conversation, like how you were mentioning it, like that these creative professions, like going into art or storytelling or stand-up comedy, or in
Mhm.
fact music also,
Hmm.
people don't really give respect. In the first few initial days, till you make it to some point, until you are successful according to the society.
Yeah.
So, what is that one thing that you would want to advise that somebody should be prepared for if they are going into something creative, if they're going into a creative line?
Yeah, I think that my advice is always be very sure of your why. Like, why are you entering into it? Like I think once you know your why, no, everything is possible. Like if you know you're entering for the fame, you will do what you want to do for the fame. If you know you're entering for the money, you will do what it takes to do for the money. I think sometimes we enter things assuming something and not clearly knowing our why. Like I think I always knew I was in it because I knew I can make it pay for myself, and I absolutely love doing it, and I love the attention that it comes with. Like I like the kind of human interaction my art brings to me. And just keeping these why with myself, I always knew that sooner or later I want to be here. So when I started out, I actually put like myself on a timeline. I realized that I wasn't also making so much money initially from my side hustle. So I spent a lot of time when I was in my job. I used to do like so many double shifts. Like after my work hours, I would immediately go like 8 o'clock. I reach home 8:30. I start working on my side projects, and I did a decent amount of side hustle in 2018. I think 2018 was full of like, if today is a Saturday, I know what the next 3 Saturdays will look like. I know which one I'm doing a photo shoot on. I know which one I'm doing a stand-up gig on. I know which one I'm doing a workshop on. So I tested everything in that time when I could afford to. When I had the like, I brought in money from somewhere else and fueled it into my work. I tested products. I did merchandise. I did a lot of freebies. I invested on ads and everything. Just tested. Just splurged that money. I invested on a lot of devices. I got myself a camera. I got myself a very good laptop. I got myself like licensed softwares and everything. Like I am saying, it's. I think patience is the key. Like बहुत जल्दी नहीं होता यार. Like it
Right.
takes its whole amount of time and effort, and like having your eye on the fact that yes, I love it. That's why I'm doing it, or this is why I'm doing it.
I think you've mentioned a very good point that knowing your why is because if we know why we are doing it, I think it keeps us motivated. And I think every now and then, we should try to ask this question to ourselves that why we are doing this and why we are
Correct,
still
correct.
doing it
And
and
yeah,
why
like
we
I
have
think
to keep doing
wonderful.
it.
Yeah, the why is dynamic. It's not like ek bar why socially and that is everything.
So, Arshit, you have done a lot of things. You're doing art workshops now. I think the latest one is that is going to come with the commune, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah. That's not
other
an
than
art
that, also
workshop.
you
It's more of a like
okay.
enabling workshop. It's more of a like it's more of a masterclass for people to understand how to make their work into a workshop.
And also you have this new thing that you started early in 2020, which was the safe space studio.
Correct.
And I was one of the lucky ones to be a part of it in the first few days, and you invited me to come for that open mic. And by the way, I really enjoyed my time there, and I would
I
love to be back.
absolutely loved your performance. It was so interactive, and I'm so glad that you showed up. Like, I think like I have a special place in my heart for everybody who supported on my firsts, because I think first हो जाता है ना, उसके बाद बहुत confidence आ जाता है कुछ भी करने के लिए. And you were there for my first, so I will always thank you for that.
So, what was your idea when you started with Safe Space Studio? Like, it is something that is probably not the first that I've seen. I've seen a couple of people doing something like this before also. But what was your idea that what did you began with it? What you want to push through Safe Space Studio to people?
So there are two, three answers to it, like in different emotions. One answer is I think I wanted to test a lot of my content, and I did not want to fight for open mic slots. So I was like I'll start my own company which does that. So yeah, I was getting too many open mic slots then. So that's the funny but slightly true answer to it.
So the
The
entrepreneur instinct kicked in that point of time.
No, no, it was
Okay,
just like I don't want to fight for open mic slots, so I'll do my own open mic slots. I think the other more real answer to it, like a more serious answer to it, is that I genuinely believe that there is a lot of potential in community building. Like I think there is so much value which is there once you bring people together, and I love meeting people. I love human stories, and I think like something that we discussed earlier in the conversation, that over time we've brought art to a very product kind of a vision ki, acha, who is a good artist, what is good art, and all of that. And I wanted to bring back the focus of art to a process for everybody to enjoy. So like something which I say to people at my open mic or just in my meetups is ki, remember how like the habitat ka H is a very big thing, like, or like the
yeah,
canvas lab factory or all of this,
yeah,
like having
right.
that at the back of your video, how it's a big deal as a performer. I want Safe Space Studio ka logo at the back of your first performance. I want to be the stage where people felt welcomed, to test their content to feel heard. I think that's what Safe Space Studio stands for me the most. Everybody is a creator, everybody is an artist, and has the right to express and be heard. And yeah, that's what I think that's the core value of the Safe Space Studio, that come, create, and be. Like that's what I also put it as a tagline. So yeah, that's what
I think it
it's.
was superb. I think it was superb because when I entered that space, when I entered the place where everything was organized, the instant feeling that you get, no, it's like of comfort. You feel comfortable somehow. I think I only knew a couple of, a handful of people who were there, and I got to know so many people. I interacted with so many people. Probably I'm not in touch with them, with everybody right now, but still I got to know what they are doing, how they're doing, and what is going on around in the world. It was just such a cozy place to be in. I think it's such a lovely idea, Harshit. And I am, once this lockdown and everything opens and the situation normalizes, I think we should do more open
Yes, no,
mics
absolutely, absolutely.
and more events at this at the Safe Space Studio. So Harshit, why don't you tell all the listeners and where they can connect with you and your courses, your workshops, and everything that you're doing?
Hi everyone, I am Mola Bocha, and you can connect with my art primarily on my Instagram. That's where I'm most active, which is at the rate Mola Bocha. And yeah, I offer art journaling courses, which is a method to connect with your feelings through art, to explore art as a process. I take a couple of workshops which can enable you as creators. So if you are in the industry and want to just skill up, there are a bunch of offerings. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am. Just follow me on Instagram, and I think you will be up to date. I'm always approachable on DMs. So yeah.
On that note, let's move to the final segment of the episode. So, Harshit, what are you recommending the listeners in this episode?
I think one thing that I would recommend is close your eyes and draw yourself. Just close your eyes and draw yourself. That's an activity which I recommend to people just to start enjoying art as a process. On a more resourceful note, I think I want to recommend a book which sort of helped me a lot, and has a lot of value in my heart, which is the book called Tuesdays with Maury. It's a book by Mitch Albom. And yeah, like if somebody is into books, definitely check it out. I think you'll get a lot of perspective about a lot of things.
My recommendation for this week is going to be a book. It's called Dream Big, and it'll help all the people, the beginners who don't understand where they should invest their money, and they don't understand mutual funds, stocks, and debt funds, and all of that. It's a very good book. The chapters are like 2-3 pages long, and you can understand mutual funds and everything. I understood about the financial investment market through Dream Big, and I have invested my money in a lot of mutual funds, and they're doing pretty great, to be honest. So do check it out, Dream Big. You can get it on Amazon, and then you will be like Warren Buffett. You never know. If you like the episode, don't forget to follow us wherever you are listening. You can also leave us a high rating on Apple Podcasts, as it helps other people to discover us. We will see you very soon in another episode. So till then, take care and keep smiling.